It's often said that America's power grid is the Achilles heel of the US, and it seems that tendon is about to snap. According to a confidential industry analysis conducted by the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, physical attacks on the U.S. power grid rose 71% last year compared with 2021, and they're likely to increase this year. Their study claims that ballistic damage, intrusion, and vandalism largely drove the increase in clusters of attacks on infrastructure in the Southeast, Midwest, and the Pacific Northwest. These deliberate acts of violence to disrupt power supply appear to be carried out by members of various extremist groups, who all share the common goal of destabilizing the grid. Sometimes politically or ideologically motivated, the groups include environmental extremists, Antifa members, and the mainstream media's favorite to discuss, two of which were caught planning an attack on Baltimore's power grid. In December of 2022, several substations in Moore County, North Carolina were attacked with gunfire, putting 45,000 people in the dark without power. And a similar incident occurred in Randolph County on January 17th. Also in January of this year, 3 substation attacks in Pierce County, Washington State impacted thousands, and the culprits have yet to be caught or identified in any of these cases. The millions in damages has led the state Senate in North Carolina to create and present legislation titled Protect Critical Infrastructure, which would increase the severity of punishment for those who, quote, knowingly and willfully destroy, injure, or otherwise damage, or even attempt to damage an energy facility. However, if our power grids are still the weak point of the nation, what can we do to strengthen them? And what legislation can help in the event of an electromagnetic pulse attack from a domestic or foreign enemy? The policies from the Biden administration in the name of environmental, social, and corporate governance principles are certainly helping to weaken America's power grid. Jamie White reported, quote, one of America's largest grid operators is warning of future energy imbalances due to Biden-led green policies and their inability to meet the growing energy demand. So should Biden's administration be classified as an ideologically motivated extremist group who is attacking American infrastructure? Instead of shooting substations, they're closing down coal plants and making it impossible to provide for our booming population. With domestic pipelines shut down to sabotage our energy independence, oil refineries bursting into flames in Texas and Mexico, our food processing plants burning to the ground on a daily basis, poultry populations decimated by bird flu prevention procedures, train transportation derailed across the country almost simultaneously, the loss of reliable electricity to help preserve our food, pump water, and power the lives of millions of Americans would certainly be the last nail in the coffin for preserving our current way of life. The more we rely on electricity, the more of an Achilles heel it becomes. So pray for the best, but prepare for the worst. Consider purchasing storable food, storing water, and purchasing a gas-powered generator, because sooner or later, whether we like it or not, that tendon is gonna snap.
What's going on here exactly? We're not even going to guess. But we can tell you the chaos is not limited to our rail system. There have also been many recent attacks on our power grid. Very few of those attacks have been widely reported. Last year, there were more than 100 attacks of them in the United States, attacks on our power grid. In North Carolina this winter, for example, nearly 50,000 people lost their power in freezing temperatures when somebody shot up 2 energy substations. And so on. Why is that not a big story? Oh, it's not a story at all. And then, of course, at the same time, we've also seen a series of bizarre accidents befalling the food industry, threatening our food supply. That would include unexplained fires and plane crashes in processing plants, to chicken feed that seems to stop egg production. Boy, next they'll be coming for the water. Oh, wait, they are. Less than a month into the Biden administration was also a highly sophisticated attack on the water supply outside Tampa.
Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Galtieri says a water treatment plant operator first noticed the remote access hack. The bad actor increased the amount of sodium hydroxide, or lye, in the water supply from 100 parts per million to more than 11,000. For the 15,000 residents of Oldsmar, Florida, the increase of sodium hydroxide in the water supply could have caused vomiting, chest, and abdominal pain.
This type of activity and this type of hacking of critical infrastructure is not necessarily limited to just water supply systems. It can be anything.
Oh, an attack on our water supply. That's weird. I didn't read that in the New York Times. But what's interesting, not to connect the dots or anything, that was not the only attack on our water supply that year. In January 2021, there was a similar effort to poison the water treatment plant that serves the San Francisco Bay Area. An unidentified hacker accessed the facility's computers remotely. According to NBC, quote, after logging in, the hacker deleted programs that the water plant used to treat drinking water. Now, fortunately, in this case, somebody noticed it. The next day, the attack was discovered and those programs were reinstalled, so nobody got poisoned. But they kept trying. There were similar hacks of water treatment facilities in California in August of 2021. There was one in Maine in July of 2021. There was one in Pennsylvania in May of 2021. In Nevada in March. In New Jersey in September of 2020. In Kansas in March of 2019. And so on. So who's looking after our water supply? Water, that's kind of basic. Well, that's the job of the EPA. But what does protecting the water have to do with passing out cash in the name of remediating environmental racism? Oh, nothing! So they're not paying attention. In fact, they're not paying attention to such an extent that even the Washington Post, which is a shill for the administration if there ever was one, pointed out that, quote, for more than 2 decades, the EPA has not been resourced or organized to secure the nation's water and wastewater sector against physical and cyber threats. Wait a second. So nobody's paying attention to the most critical infrastructure, but food, water, energy, transportation infrastructure, food, water, energy infrastructure. What does that add up to? Oh, that adds up to a country. You can't have a country without those things. And in every single case, whatever the cause, our food, water, energy, and infrastructure are being degraded.
You won't believe what is happening at Costco. Are you tired of waiting in long lines just to get a carton of eggs? Well, you're not alone. Costco, one of the largest wholesale stores in America, has been hit by the nationwide egg shortage, which has led to rising prices and long lines of customers eager to buy eggs. But that's not the worst part. Brace yourselves, because things are about to get serious. The Costco egg shortage, the early days. The egg crisis that is sweeping the United States has been caused by a catastrophic bird flu outbreak that has ravaged chicken farms all across the country. The sheer scale of the problem is almost incomprehensible. Millions of chickens have been affected, and the resulting shortage of eggs has seen prices skyrocketing to unprecedented levels. The average cost of a dozen eggs has doubled from last year, and the situation is only getting worse. People are panicking, and it's not hard to see why. The situation is reminiscent of the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, when shoppers rushed to stock up on toilet paper, causing widespread shortages and chaos. This time, it's eggs that are in short supply, and the panic buying has resulted in long lines and limited availability. Shoppers are scrambling to purchase as many eggs as possible before they disappear, and it's not hard to see why, with the median price of a dozen eggs rising to a staggering $4.25 in December. It's clear that the impact of this crisis is going to be felt for a long time to come. One viral TikTok video has captured the extent of the chaos that the egg shortage has caused. In the video, a long line of desperate customers can be seen sneaking through the aisles of a Costco store, waiting anxiously for their chance to purchase a precious carton of eggs. The video was posted by a shocked shopper who could hardly believe how quickly the line had formed and how tensions among customers were beginning to rise. Some shoppers were pointing their fingers in the air, accusing others of trying to cut in line, while others were exchanging heated words and even coming to blows. The scene was chaotic, and it's clear that the egg shortage has had a significant impact on Costco's customers, but the problem is much bigger than just one store. The consequences of this crisis are far-reaching and potentially catastrophic. For farmers who've lost entire flocks of chickens to the bird flu, the impact is devastating. With millions of chickens affected, the resulting shortage of eggs is threatening to push many farmers out of business, leaving them struggling to make ends meet. For consumers, the situation is just as dire. Eggs are a staple food that many people rely on for their daily nutrition, and the soaring prices are putting them out of reach for many families. The global egg shortage. Why it matters. As the egg shortage persists, it's important to note that the impact is not limited to Costco stores only. Grocery stores and retailers across the country have also been hit by this crisis, with limited supply and rising prices causing anxiety among customers. The situation is not just limited to the United States either. It's become a global issue, with many countries around the world experiencing similar challenges. The root cause of this global egg shortage is the ongoing avian influenza outbreaks that have led to the culling of millions of chickens in many countries. The disease is devastating poultry farms and has forced the destruction of entire flocks of chickens. The result has been a sharp decline in the number of eggs produced, leading to an alarming shortage of supply. The problem is not confined to a single country or region, but has affected nations across the globe. In addition to the avian influenza outbreaks, there are other contributing factors that have worsened the crisis. The high cost of feed has been a significant factor in the egg shortage, as it has made it more expensive for farmers to keep their birds healthy and producing eggs. Energy prices have also been on the rise, making it more expensive to maintain the necessary infrastructure and equipment required for egg production. The egg shortage has sparked fears of food insecurity and has led to panic buying and hoarding in many parts of the world. Customers are worried about the possibility of not being able to access this crucial source of protein, and many have resorted to stockpiling eggs. This has only exacerbated the issue, as it's made it even more challenging to ensure a consistent and adequate supply of eggs for everyone. The impact of the egg shortage on the global economy is also significant. The egg industry is a vital sector, providing employment and income for millions of people worldwide. The shortage of eggs has led to job losses and reduced revenues for many farmers, distributors, and retailers, affecting the entire supply chain. The domino effect. The impact of the egg shortage. The egg shortage has had a significant impact on various small businesses that rely on eggs as a primary ingredient. From bakeries to restaurants and other food service providers, many are finding themselves paying higher prices for eggs, which can cut into their already slim profit margins. This shortage has created a domino effect, causing a ripple effect throughout the entire food industry. One of the hardest hit industries has been the restaurant industry, which relies heavily on eggs for various menu items, from breakfast dishes to baked goods. The high cost and limited supply of eggs have forced many restaurants to temporarily change their menus or even close their doors, which is devastating for small businesses that rely on steady revenue to stay afloat. This has led to a significant loss of jobs, affecting not only the restaurant industry, but also the overall economy. Moreover, many small businesses have resorted to purchasing eggs from overseas to meet their demand, but this can be both costly and time-consuming. Importing eggs from other countries has also led to concerns about the risk of introducing new strains of avian flu into the United States, which can be detrimental to both human and animal health. Furthermore, importing eggs from other countries has raised concerns about the carbon footprint of transporting eggs across long distances, which contributes to climate change. The transportation of eggs from overseas requires significant amounts of fuel, which is a non-renewable resource that releases harmful emissions into the atmosphere. This increased transportation and emissions have added to the already significant challenges faced by the environment. In response to the egg shortage, some small businesses have been forced to adapt to alternative egg substitutes, such as plant-based alternatives like tofu or flax seeds. However, these substitutes often come at a higher cost and can significantly alter the taste and texture of the final product. In conclusion, the egg shortage has had a severe impact on various small businesses, particularly in the restaurant industry. The shortage has forced many businesses to pay higher prices for eggs, which can cut into their already slim profit margins, and has led to temporary menu changes and even closures. Importing eggs from other countries has also led to concerns about the risk of introducing new strains of avian flu and the carbon footprint of transporting eggs across long distances. The shortage has created challenges not only for small businesses, but also for the environment, making it crucial to develop more sustainable and innovative solutions to mitigate the impact of the egg shortage. Waste and ethics, the hidden costs of the egg shortage. Buying more eggs than they can consume has led to a waste of food, which is a major concern. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, over 30% of the food produced in the country is wasted, with eggs being one of the most commonly wasted food items. This is a shocking and alarming statistic, especially when you consider that many people around the world go hungry every day. The issue of food waste is a complex one, with a variety of factors contributing to the problem. For example, in the case of eggs, one reason for waste is the fact that many consumers and retailers have strict standards for appearance, leading to perfectly good eggs being discarded simply because they don't look perfect. Another factor is overproduction. The egg industry is highly mechanized, with large-scale farms producing huge quantities of eggs every day. When production exceeds demand, eggs are often discarded rather than being sold or donated. Of course, the issue of food waste is not limited to the egg industry. In fact, food waste is a problem throughout the food system, from production to consumption. In addition to the environmental and ethical concerns associated with food waste, there are also economic implications. Wasted food means wasted resources, which ultimately translates into higher costs for everyone involved in the food system. So what can be done to address the problem of food waste? There are a variety of solutions that have been proposed, from changes in consumer behavior to policy changes at the governmental level. One important step that individuals can take is to become more aware of their own food waste and take steps to reduce it. This might mean planning meals more carefully to ensure that food is not wasted, or taking steps to use up leftovers. It can also mean choosing to purchase foods that are less likely to be wasted, such as ugly produce or products that are close to their expiration date. Another solution is to support efforts to reduce waste at the production and retail levels. For example, retailers can adopt more flexible standards for appearance, and food producers can work to better match supply with demand. This might involve investing in more efficient production methods or finding ways to donate excess food to those in need. Finally, there is a role for policymakers in addressing the problem of food waste. Governments can take steps to incentivize reductions in food waste, such as by offering tax incentives to businesses that donate excess food to charities, or by requiring large-scale food producers to report on their waste reduction efforts. In conclusion, the problem of food waste is a complex one that requires a multifaceted approach. By working together at all levels of the food system, we can begin to make progress in reducing waste and ensuring that more people have access to the food they need to thrive. Whether it's making small changes in our own lives or advocating for policy changes at the national level, we all have a role to play in this important issue.